There we go. It took me a little bit longer than normal to click the button. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Saturday. I'm excited. I can see you're excited as well. I'm going to put my chat overlay up over here. I decided to wear chocolate in honor of the occasion and also because the photo I have is like chocolate, lots of chocolate going on. Zan, I see you're in here already talking about some cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar, dollar bill, y'all. Yes, $1 million beliefs plus $1 million habits equals $1 million. Absolutely. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So before we jump in, if this is your first time joining me, please tell me your name, where you are joining me from. I'm super excited to share this session with you because the beliefs are everything. If you are wanting to manifest something, or if you have a goal that you set for this year or even for the past couple years, and for some reason it's just still not quite working the way that you want it to, it's likely the beliefs. And so that is what we're going to be chatting about today. So just a couple of announcements. Oh, nice. Yeah, it's a good ringtone. I like it. Couple of announcements. If you need help growing your email list, this month I am offering a free email marketing toolkit. Okay, so if you haven't gotten it already, just DM me the word toolkit on Instagram. I'm at LaTisha Styles TV, or you can text. Let me put my little overlay up. You can also text me and I'll send it over to you. It's 901-509-9337 in order to get the toolkit. This is absolutely going to help you to start growing your email list. That's the idea behind it. There's a training inside about the email funnel that I use and actually how I convert people from email over to scheduling a call. So it's a really, really good toolkit. It also has a checklist inside of there, some couple PDFs, and it's absolutely free. So if you haven't gotten it already, once again, you can DM toolkit to 901-509-9337. Or if you're outside of the US, you can just go to Instagram. I'm at LaTisha Styles TV and just DM me the word toolkit, all one word. What's going on, Kimani? Thank you for joining again from LA. Merle is here from Montserrat. Super excited. I know this is like a holiday weekend also, so I wasn't really sure what the body count, so to speak, was going to be as far as this topic, but that's okay because you can always come back to the replay if for some reason you weren't able to make it here live. I know some of you definitely do that. What's going on now? Thanks for joining from Wisconsin. All right, so as you're putting those in, let me go ahead and jump into the intro so we can jump into today's topic because I'm ready. Okay, I got a lot to share with you. And okay, let me go to this question first. Can we still purchase your email workshop? Is it still available? Yes, the email workshop is still available. You can go to, what was that link? I think it's still in here. LaTisha.tv/grow. This is the course. So this is has the mini workshop. It has email swipe files, the lead magnet templates. It's got a lot more than just the free toolkit. So yes, you can still purchase that. And then if you want the free email toolkit, then you can just text or DM me the word toolkit in order to get it. Good question. All right, cool. Let's go into this one. Once again, if this is your first time joining me, tell me your name and where you're joining me from. If you've never met me before, my name is LaTisha Styles. I'm a mentor for high achievers. I'm known for creating 6- and 7-figure earners by helping clients to identify and dissolve the subconscious blocks that are holding them back from reaching their full potential. That's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. My clients are known for using my strategies to generate 18K in 2 weeks, 10K in 10 days, and 95K in 12 months, among other results. And that is why you are here today, right? To get on the path to getting some of those results for yourself. I broadcast every Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern. I pack a lot of value in these trainings. And as with all things valuable, there is a price. So if you can join me live, you get to soak up all this goodness for free. Afterwards, I put these trainings inside of our YouTube channel membership. It's really easy to become a member. It's only $2.99 a month. You can just click join and become a member, and you'll get access to 3+ years now that I've been doing these, 3+ years of trainings. If you want notifications when I go live, just subscribe and click the bell. If you are on my text message list, you should get a text when I'm live. Sometimes it comes a little bit later, but hey, you already know I'm here every Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern. If you're outside of the US and you still want to get notified, just go to LaTisha.tv/free. download any of my free trainings, guides, or PDFs, and you're in there like swimmer. I believe you can create your life, but first you have to decide, because your dreams deserve your decision and you deserve to achieve your dreams, but only if you decide to do whatever it takes to get them. So with that said, let's hop into today's topic. Turn that and... Okay, cool. We're going to go into this. Let me jump into some of these questions. So if you are a member of the Path to Six Figures Profit Creator Mastermind, yes, you do get that included. You have access to all of the programs. It's designed to be the last program that you need to purchase. So unless it's a physical product where there's like a hard cost, you get access to all the digital products included. What's going on, Colette? Glad to have you here. Okay, good. Zan says the YouTube membership is a steal. It really is. It really is. I've considered like changing the price on it. And actually YouTube just sent an email about how they're changing the pricing structure and like the percentage. Like I don't even get the full $2.99. I only get, I think it's 70%. And I thought I read somewhere where they were changing it to 55%. And I was like, what? But they're not. It's still, I believe it's still 70% payout that I get versus they get 30%. So it's really not designed to be like a revenue driver for the business. The idea is that I want to give you guys an incentive to show up live. And also, I don't want to just have all of my full 1 hour trainings out there, because there's a lot of value in there. And essentially, it's like a course in and of itself. It's just a little bit more scattered and not as like step-by-step plotted out as like my normal programs and courses are. So let's get into what I wanted to share today, because I have 3 main beliefs that have allowed me to generate $1 million online. And these beliefs are, they're not necessary. They're probably not the beliefs that you're going to be expecting to hear. Like you might expect to hear something like, I believe I can do it. And that's like, not that. Okay. So, as far as let me just go back to the beginning. I always like to try to start with a story whenever I don't really know where quite to start. I don't want to just jump into these 3 beliefs, because there is a story behind this. And the story behind this is that LaTisha has always thought that there was something more for her. So if you feel like this, you're probably going to relate to my story. When I was much younger, when I was in school, like even elementary school, middle school, high school, I always had a sense or a feeling that I was going to do something big. And I remember I had this vision in my mind of a woman with a white suit on and a briefcase, and she was going up some stairs. Like that was always the vision that I had in my head. And I interpreted that vision as, okay, well, you're going to be a CEO, you're going to be a high-powered executive. Like there's something big out there for you. And I think the belief that I had, like because I had that belief, I always had like this driving force behind me. And so after college, I didn't necessarily go full force towards what I had seen, that vision in my head. After I got out of school, I sort of kind of took a default route. And I think I've shared this before, but if you haven't heard this story before, I'll try to keep it short and sweet. But essentially, I was working at a retail store when I was in college, and I didn't go the route of, trying to get a internship and like sitting in like a cubicle type job, because number one, I never wanted a cubicle job. And secondly, I didn't really know that that's what I was supposed to do in order to transition. I was always just told, if you go to college, you get a degree, you're going to make more than someone who doesn't. So I was like, okay, great. That's what I'm going to do. So I decided to just work just a regular job. So I was working at a retail store, picking up clothes, folding clothes, putting stuff back. Like that whole process has really caused me to have a lot more respect when I do go shopping, and I don't just put stuff back on the hanger and just like throw it somewhere. Like I actually, put it back where I found it and, all of that. So after I graduated college, the manager came to me and she was like, hey, do you want to work here full time? And I thought, well, okay, sure. And she made it seem as if there was this great career trajectory. So I was like, okay, well, maybe this is my way. This is my method to get to that vision that I see in my head. And so I started working there full time, and I hated it. I thought, I know I said I never wanted a cubicle job, but I'm not even making the money that I imagined that I saw in my head. And I really feel like I'm not living up to my full potential. That's a key word, potential. So just kind of keep that in mind for right now. And once I determined that, I said, okay, well, then there's something else. There's got to be something else out there for me. And then I had a friend who had started who was working in a franchise company. And he told me, hey, if you come and work with us, it was a burger shop. He's like, if you come and work with us, then you could own your own franchise at some point. And I was like, oh, okay. So this is my path. So I started down that path, hated that. I didn't like the fact that I was literally flipping burgers after college. There's that like saying of, if you don't go to school and get a degree, you're going to end up flipping burgers. I went to school and got a degree, and I was still flipping burgers. And I felt like I still wasn't living up to my full potential. I even had an Army recruiter that walked in one day, and she asked me a couple questions about myself. And I told her that I had a college degree, and, I was working here so that I could eventually become a franchise owner. And she looked at me and she said, you're not living up to your full potential. And it was like when she said those words, it was like she hit on the exact thing that I was already thinking in my head. But I also knew I didn't want to join the military because I never wanted to go to boot camp. I might be pretty active now, but I've never really been the type of person that wants to like actually climb ropes and jump boxes. I do it because like you get to be done and go home after. I never wanted to like do it for, a couple months straight. So anyways, long story short, I knew that there was still something more for me, but I just didn't know what it was. So as I continued on my path, I decided to go back to college. I ended up getting a finance degree. That finance degree led me to my first full-time job in a cubicle, which I never wanted to have, but I was like, hey, maybe this is your path. You're going to have to do that. And got that job, still didn't like it. And there was like this consistent theme of, I keep trying to reach that vision that I have in my head, but I'm just not quite sure how to get there. So the key thing that I want to impress upon you and share from this story is, if you also have a vision as well of where you'd like to go and where you desire to be and where you feel like you should be, like there's some sort of potential there that you're not reaching, I completely understand. And in order for me to get there, I realized that I had to shift certain beliefs, because there were certain beliefs that I had that served me, and then there were beliefs that did not serve me. And I didn't realize that until I actually pushed forward to that goal, which was me quitting my full-time job and deciding to go full-time into entrepreneurship. And this is what led me to really completely changing the trajectory of my life. Good morning. Happy Saturday. Okay, cool. So let me go to my notes because I got them right here. So 3 main beliefs, and I'm going to break down each of these beliefs into not only the belief that I had, but what I had to shift in order to get to this belief. Okay. So the first belief that I had that made me $1 million is, I believe I can succeed at whatever I put my mind to. I realize that this is a little bit of a delusional belief because, for example, what if I decide that, I believe I can fly, right? Like literally fly. Physics says I can't, right? If I jump off of a cliff, I'm probably going to fall against the force of gravity, and, I'm not actually going to fly no matter how much I flap my arms or try to, spread my quote unquote wings. And those types of truths and laws generally stop most people. But here's why I have this type of delusional belief, is because I believe that if I set my mind to something, I'm going to find a way to get there. It might not look the same way that I thought it looked, but I'm going to find a way to get there. And so a lot of you are familiar with the Wright brothers. Those are the brothers who essentially are credited for being the first in flight. But there was actually someone who inspired them, and his name was Otto Lilienthal. I'm trying to say that right. Otto Lilienthal. So check this out. This is the man who inspired the Wright brothers. I'm going to put this up on the screen. And this is him right here in this photo. He literally strapped wings onto himself And I'll put this link in the chat also if you guys want to check it out. He literally strapped wings onto himself because he believed that he could fly. He was a German engineer, a student of aerodynamics, and he ended up flying. He literally believed that he could fly and he ended up doing it. And the reason that this is important is because, for some people, they will just say, okay, well, it's actually not possible. And then they won't even try. If you have a belief that you can do anything you set your mind to, then you'll actually try and you might actually get there. Okay. And so the Wright brothers were inspired by him. They found a way around those laws of physics. They actually created that first biplane. And so what I want you to take away from this is that some laws can be broken, some laws can be bent, and some laws are irrelevant, meaning you can go around them. Okay. So in order for me to have this belief and take on this belief, I had to shift the belief that failure is a setback. Failure is not a setback. I had to change that belief into failure is an opportunity to learn. I can imagine how many times he probably, fell and hurt himself as he was doing that. I can imagine how many times the Wright brothers failed. Imagine how many times people who you admire, how many times they fail, but they get up and keep going. Why? Because they have a stubborn belief that they can do whatever they set their mind to. And it doesn't matter if it's not founded in anything. A belief is a belief because it's a belief. It doesn't have to be founded in anything. How many people believe in gravity, but you can't see it? It doesn't mean that it's not there. And I feel like a lot of people use that, but I wanted to go with something safe rather than some other beliefs that people might have. But the idea is that you don't have to have anything backing up that belief as long as it doesn't harm you to have that belief. I want to make that very apparent. I'm sure he was protected at some point with putting some stuff on. Like there's things that you can do to protect yourself. Yes. But the point here is that as long as you believe that you can do it, you will take the actions in order to get there. And you'll be a lot further along than the person who says, well, actually physics says that you can't do it, so I'm not even going to try. Okay. And it's important to understand that when you do go after the things that you want, you're likely going to experience failure. And failure is not a setback. It's simply an opportunity to learn. And if you don't take that opportunity to learn, you're going to continue reaching those same failures. Like you're going to continue seeing those same failures until you learn the lesson that you were meant to learn. Okay. All right. I'm coming to some of these comments. If you drink Red Bull, it gives you wings. Yes, exactly. Failure is a setup for success, 100%. Hello, Mia. Glad to have you here. Okay, cool. I'm just coming through some of these comments. Yes. Okay. Kimani says, I absolutely relate. This helped me leave my toxic job. I knew I deserved bigger and better, 100%. Okay. All right, so let me come back to here. How do I define the word belief? As a personal definition, I would define the word belief as something that is true and can be backed up by evidence, which takes me into the next statement, the next belief. All right. Second belief. I got a little hesitant to type this one out when I was writing up my notes, because I was like, they're going to think that I'm just like super cocky, which is what an old boss once told me. But I believe that I'm better than most people at most things. I believe I'm better at most people at most things. And this is another seemingly delusional belief. But by believing that I'm above average meaning I can do more than the average person, or I can accomplish more than the average person, I actually convince myself to take more action than the average person. So if you think about the results that on average people get, or the things that happen to the average person, I have always had a belief that I am more adept, more intelligent, more willing to take action than the average person. And I'll go back to high school, for example, because when I was in high school, I ended up taking a calculus class which was like it was like one of those college prep classes. It was not necessary in order for me to graduate. I actually already had satisfied my math requirements. I didn't have to take a math as a senior, but I decided to because I was like, I'm better than the average person at most things. And that class really humbled me and it shocked me to the core. However, after getting one of my first failing grades ever, I went back to my first belief, which is I believe I can do whatever I set my mind to. And I knew that I had to approach this differently. I had to do more than what my average even was. I had to study harder. I ended up buying this book that was like a unconventional way of learning math because I'm a creative person. I ended up buying a book that was designed for creative people to learn this topic. And so when I say I believe I'm better than most things, most people at most things, it's simply because I know that I'm going to take more action than the average person. Okay. And I've talked about this before when it comes to like effort based goals versus outcome based goals. So the average person is going to set what's called an outcome based goal. They're going to say, my goal is to make this much, or my goal is to, lose this much weight or gain this much weight. My goal is to, XYZ outcome, right? I know that an outcome based goal is only going to get you like 30 to 40% of the way there. Why? Because you haven't identified the inputs that go into getting that outcome. And so what I do instead is I set what are called effort based goals. I first choose my outcome. So right now I'm in the process of wanting to get on stage again. And so my outcome is step on stage in a bikini and compete and ideally get a pro card. That's the outcome. But what are the inputs that go into that goal? What's the effort that I have to put forward in order to reach that goal? Well, I believe the effort is cardio. I believe the effort is staying on track with my meals. I believe the effort is lifting sessions. I believe the effort is prioritizing my sleep. I believe the effort is. So these are the efforts that I believe go into that outcome. And therefore, I'm going to do those efforts every day. And I'm going to do more than what the average person would do from my perspective. Okay. I do want to clarify that. But in order for me to take on this belief, and also in order for it to not be detrimental, because it has been in the past, I had to shift the belief that I'm in competition with anyone else other than myself. So this is one of those beliefs that cuts both ways. If I believe that I'm better at most things than the average person, I will always be comparing myself to the next person. And there's danger in that. Why? Because comparison is the thief of joy. When you compare yourself to other people, you are comparing your 100% view of what you know you're doing, the effort you know you're putting in. You know the full picture from your perspective, but you don't know their full picture. You only know the outside. And so you're comparing yourself with what you see that they're doing, and that can cause you to kind of go into this like downward spiral. So in order for me to have this belief to actually benefit me, I had to shift the belief that I'm in competition with anyone else other than myself. And therefore, my goal, for example, to get on stage and get a pro card is not so I can beat the other people on stage. It's so I can beat the best version of myself. And what that means is, regardless of whether I get that outcome of pro card, the goal doesn't matter because I'm competing with myself. All I have to do is say, hey, did I put this effort in? And did I put more effort in than I did last time? Did I get a better outcome than I did last time? I'm comparing myself to me. And so this is one thing that, like I said, I had to shift this belief for myself just a little bit, because it caused me to really kind of go into this downward mental spiral of paying attention to what everyone else was doing, and then therefore not really paying attention to what I was doing for myself and what I wanted for myself. Okay. And then third belief is, and then I'll come back to some of these comments in just a little bit. This is one of my favorite ones. The third belief that I had in order to help me make $1 million is I believe that money isn't real. It's simply digits on a screen. I believe that money isn't real. It's simply digits on a screen. Let me explain. The value of money is just an agreement that we have collectively made. You have agreed to accept money as payment in exchange for services and products. I have agreed to accept money in exchange for payments of services and products. And money in and of itself has no inherent value. And if you don't believe this, imagine a world where the only thing that mattered was survival. Do you think that you could eat money? You cannot. The only thing it could possibly do is if you have paper money, it could keep you warm if you burned it. So when you think about that and you think about the inherent value of it, it really doesn't have any value other than what we've collectively decided that it has. And so once I realized that, I was able to bring money off of this pedestal that I had it on. And that's really what allowed me to move forward in my money situation, because I had a lot of messed up money beliefs, a lot. And these were beliefs that I had from what I saw my parents doing, things that I believe because of just years and years of conditioning and beliefs that did not serve me. Okay. So I want to really impress this upon you is because I'm a participant of the system and you're a participant of the system, you are the one who gives money value. Okay. Money is simply a way to exchange value. The more value that I provide to people with value to exchange, the more value that I receive. Okay. Money is a tool. I'm the architect. I'm the one that's in control. I'm the one that says this money is worth it for me. I'm the one that says, okay, that gas price is okay. I'm going to spend that money on gas. Maybe if I'm like, oh, I don't like that gas price, maybe I drive a little bit less so I don't have to spend the money on gas. I'm the one who chooses this is what is valuable to me based on the money that I'm willing to spend on it. And so in order for me to have this belief and also have it to benefit me, I had to shift the belief that money has power. Money has no power in and of itself other than the power that you give it. And so what this did for me was it allowed me to remove the desperation and neediness from those sales calls that I was having, where I was telling people about my services. In the very beginning, I was like, I hope they say yes. I hope they say yes. I hope they say yes, because I need this money. Instead, it shifted to, well, I really hope this person is a good fit. And if they are, they're probably going to be excited. And if they are, they're going to want to make that exchange of value because I know the value that I'm providing to them. And it's simply an exchange of value. And if it's not this person, then it's going to be the next person. It's the exact same mindset that I got into when I decided that I was tired of putting so much energy and effort and putting like a quote unquote relationship, marriage on a pedestal. And I decided to just let all that go. I was like, well, you might be the right person, but if it's not you, hey, it might be the next one. Like, you have to impress me versus me trying to like beg, like, oh my gosh, I hope you're the right person. And I feel like a lot of times we do that with money. If you're looking at your money situation, you're like, this is just not really what I'm expecting it to be. You probably have a belief that's causing you to put money on a pedestal. Money should not be on a pedestal. It's simply a tool. You are the one in control. You are the architect. You're the person who says, this is valuable. This is not valuable. I agree that it's worth this much. I have this much value to exchange. Are you willing to provide money in exchange for this value that I'm going to give you? If not, okay, fine. Maybe the next person will. And so I feel like this was a big one for me. And it really was what allowed me to unscrew up my money situation and allow me to really move into overflow, because there was a lot of emotions attached to my personal money situation, so much so that it was preventing me from receiving money. I wasn't even open to receive money because I felt like I had to, labor for it. You don't have to labor for money. You don't have to earn money. You get to receive as a result of your energy, your vibration, and your expectation. There are some people, and if you don't believe this to be true, there are some people who receive money and they don't do anything. And if you don't believe that, think of people who have quote unquote inherited money and they don't, using air quotes, do anything. But the idea is that you don't have to earn money. You get to allow money in. You've got to take it off of this throne that it's on. It's simply digits on a screen. I don't believe that money is real in that case. I believe it's something that I get to choose to put value on and place value on. And me shifting that belief and putting a stronger belief in place, which is I'm in control, is what has allowed me to allow more money in. Okay. So let me go to some of these comments. All right. Hello, Rianne. Glad to have you here. She says, I needed to hear this, beating myself up for not accomplishing last year's goals. Yeah, last year's history. So all we're doing is now focusing on this year, and also we're focusing on the effort that we're putting in, and we're going to congratulate ourselves for the effort. And whether or not we get the actual outcome, as long as you're alive, you still get to go after that outcome. So there's no time limit on it. Okay. Nick says, I think of belief as just a thought that can be changed 100%. So I'm going to talk about that in a second, which is how I install and create new beliefs that I want to impact my situation. Zan says, I was an A, B student, always believed that I was better than a C student, and that kept me on honor roll. Exactly. So a lot of times we do things based on the beliefs that we have, and that also influences our outcome and what we see happen. 100%. That's what makes average, right? The exact definition of average. Even if everyone elevated their outcome, we would still have an average. There would just be a higher average, right? But there would still be an average, because that's what an average is. Perfect. Okay, good. Mediocre is no longer comfort. Great mindset shift, 100%. Yes, money is just paper. Christina says, to me, money is simply the evidence of my impacting others. Love it. Energy. I've always said also that money is a reflection of your energy. Like there was a book that I was reading, I forget the title of it, but they defined money as MONEY, my own natural energy yield. And a yield is what you get back when you invest, right? So it's, what are you investing your energy in? And therefore, how does that coming back to you? That's all that money is. It's just, what am I investing it in and what am I yielding? Yeah, absolutely. Putting money less on a pedestal, 100%. So these beliefs are just 3 that I worked on that allow me to shift my personal situation. Everyone has a little bit of a different situation, but I hope that these beliefs have helped you. And I'm going to share in just a second the 3 ways that I shift these beliefs. But I cover a lot of this, a lot more in depth in my program. It's called Manifest Now. Some of you have heard of it. Some of you own it. Some of you don't have it. So I just want to take a second to tell you a little bit more about it. We're going to be talking more about it this week as well. If you'd like to get a copy, you can go to LaTisha.tv/manifest. And when you go to that page, I got a little thing. It's not there. It's this one. There we go. When you go to the link that's up here, you're going to see everything on that page that you get. But one thing that's not shown on that page, which you do receive, is you get to see LaTisha from 2015. I recorded several journal entries where I was talking about my goal and my desire to get to a 6-figure business. Basically, I was like, I want to be able to deposit $10,000 per month into my bank account for my business. I'm so thankful and happy that I'm doing this. And I shared the effort that I was putting in. And I was very, very delusional. There was, there's almost nothing that says that I would be successful in creating a personal brand business based on what I know. My parents were not business owners. They never taught me anything about how to run a business. I didn't have any, mentors that were like, oh, hey, this is what you do with, business bank account. This is how you open an LLC. I just took the steps as I went, and I gathered people along the way to support and assist me. And that's one thing that I talk about in here. I also talk about the common subconscious blocks, how to shift them. You get the Art of Allowing series, and I'll ship you a copy of Dream, Decide, Do, which is my manifestation goal planner. This one's plasticed up, so I can't open it. But essentially inside of here, this is where I shared the process that took my net worth from negative to positive. I tell all the stories about that, and also give you the worksheets that I did, like literally did every single day, so you can follow along as well. So if money is the thing that you'd like to focus on this year, then I highly recommend that. Okay. Um, okay. So now let's move into 3 ways that I shift a belief. This is good. Okay. All right. 3 ways that I shift a belief. Once you determine that there's a belief that does not serve you, so how do you determine there's a belief that doesn't serve you? Generally speaking, as soon as you set your goal, there's going to be a thought that comes up right away. And the thought is likely going to be something like, well, you can't do that because XYZ evidence. Or why do you think that that's possible for you because XYZ evidence? Or you're going to like whatever. There's always some sort of doubt that comes up. So those are like, I hope you tune into those because that's perfect. It's great when those come up because if you can pay attention to those, once you recognize a belief, you can shift it. The problem is that most people don't pay attention to those doubts that come up. They try to just push them back into the back of their mind and then they try to ignore them. But that doesn't do anything but allow them to just grow and get bigger in the back of your head. If we imagine your head as like this, hopefully not empty room, but if we imagine your head like a room where there's like doubts and fears and frustrations and then there's hope, if you don't pay attention to those doubts that come up, those doubts are simply based on beliefs. And if you don't pay attention to those, you won't be able to shift them. But if you do pay attention to them, then you can shift that belief. So as you're creating your goal, pay attention to the first things that come up. Like, what are those first thoughts that come up for you? Whatever those first thoughts are, that's how you can start recognize them and shift those beliefs. So the first thing that I do when I want to shift a belief is I reframe the vision of it so that the idea of that is minimized. So I'm going to give you an example of this. If you've seen the movie Harry Potter, I forget which one it is. It's the one where he finds out that his uncle is like this werewolf or something like that. No, that's the uncle's friend. His uncle's a dog. Whatever. Anyone who's never seen Harry Potter, you're gonna be like, "What? His uncle's a dog?" But if you've seen it, you know what I mean, right? There's the movie where he finds out that his uncle, Sirius Black, was in prison and he actually is not guilty. He's actually a dog, and all these things. There's a scene in there where the teacher is showing them how to minimize a fear. So there's like this magical creature called a Bogart. And when you step in front of it, it rearranges itself so that it represents your fear. And when you see it, you're so scared, you're paralyzed, you can't do anything and you can't move. And then they have this special thing that they say, and then they, wave their wand, and then suddenly the Bogart is gone. And the reason that I'm using that example is because before that movie even came out, this is what I did in order to reframe a belief that I wanted to shift. So to give you the example of, I used to have a belief that debt was bad. Like, just very simple. Debt is bad. And not only that, but you're bad for borrowing. You're a bad person. It sounds crazy now because I'm like, of course you're not a bad person for borrowing. Debt is just something that you've chosen to, pay over time, and you decided to borrow some money to do it. Like, who cares? It's just money. But at the time, my belief was debt is bad, and therefore you're a bad person for borrowing money. Why didn't you just have the money to do it yourself, to, pay for something yourself? And so the first thing that I do when I want to shift a belief is I reframe it, visually speaking, so I can minimize it. So the first thing I thought of was like, well, debt is actually not bad. Debt is a way for you to achieve different things. And, when you borrow debt, yeah, your money goes down first, but then ideally, if you do what you're supposed to do, your money situation should improve because you were able to borrow. And so I imagine debt instead like a trampoline. And so my thought was, okay, think of a trampoline. When you bounce on a trampoline, it has to go down first, but it goes down so it can bounce you back up higher, right? And so when I thought about that, I was like, oh, it's just a trampoline. And I can choose to jump on this trampoline if I want. I can choose to jump on a smaller trampoline. I can choose to not jump on any trampoline. Like, I have the choice, but it's not this bad thing. I'm not a bad person for borrowing. I just borrowed because I decided I want to jump on this trampoline. And so it sounds kind of silly, but that's the idea, similar to that scene in Harry Potter where the whole magic of it was like they made it seem silly, so silly that it was like, why would I even be scared of this? it's just a trampoline. And so that's the first thing that I do when I recognize a belief. I minimize it by revisualizing it in my mind. When I see debt, I'm like, oh, okay, like it's just a trampoline, right? And so that's the first thing, reframing the vision of it. Secondly, is I choose a new belief that I like better that also has truth, that's also founded in truth. So a new belief that I liked better for the idea of debt is bad was that debt is is like a shovel. So this was kind of like also a reimagining of it, but I was like, okay, debt is like a shovel, and I can choose to dig, use it to. It's like a tool. Like I can choose to dig deeper, or I can put the shovel down. But that, once again, it's my choice. So my belief from that was I get to choose. Like I'm building something with debt, and I get to choose whether I use debt to build or not. It's my choice what I choose to do with it. Once again, the belief had to be something that served me and also that was founded in truth, which is people choose to use debt all the time. A lot of businesses would not be here if they didn't borrow money. A lot of people borrow money so that they can purchase a home. A lot of people borrow money so that they can buy shoes if they want. You can borrow money. You can use that shovel. You can jump on that trampoline for whatever you want. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just a choice. So my new belief was debt is just a choice and I can choose it. I can let it go, whatever. It's not bad. I'm not evil. It's just a choice. And then finally, I reinforce that belief immediately with an action. So if my new belief is debt is a choice and I can choose whether I want to use it or not, then my next action would be, okay, maybe I decide to stop borrowing money. Maybe I decide to pay attention more to my dollars and what they're doing because I believe that I direct those dollars and I believe that I can choose to either use the shovel to dig or I can use the shovel to build. If I'm imagining money as a shovel and debt as the whole, okay, well, what if I take that shovel and instead I use it to build instead of keep digging a deeper hole? And once I determine what that action is, I take that action immediately. And so this is what happens if there's a belief that you want to shift, a belief that you want to change, and you choose a new belief, but you don't take an action that reinforces that belief right away, it's much more likely to end up at the back of your head, sort of collecting dust with the doubt. And then, you just don't do anything with it. So once you have a new belief that you want to install, you have to determine what small action could I take today that would allow me to reinforce that belief. These beliefs came up a lot as I was working on building my business, as I was working on earning more. There would be beliefs that came up like, you're so far away. What makes you think you're going to get to this number this year? Because look at what you did last year. You weren't even, 20% of the way there last year. And you think you're going to get to this number this year? You shouldn't even try. But what does that do? If you don't try, if you don't actually take action, you're definitely not getting there, right? But sometimes we just allow that belief to just sit there. We don't examine it. We don't look at it, and we don't install a new belief. So then I would write a new belief as I'm writing in my journal each day. I would write a new belief that was like, anything can happen in an instant, which is true. Anything can happen in an instant. Change happens in an instant. Everything that I want and I desire, it's making its way to me. It's on its way to me. There's nothing that I have to do. I just have to be. Who do I have to be today? I have to be LaTisha. What does LaTisha need to do today? LaTisha needs to remember that she can do whatever she sets her mind to. Okay, great. So what are we doing today? And now that fear, that doubt that was like lingering and saying, hey, you're not going to do this, you're not going to do that. It has no power anymore because I know what I believe to be true. And therefore I'm moving forward because of it. And that is what allowed me to earn $1 million selling coaching courses and consulting online. It's because I had a stubborn belief in myself. I had a stubborn belief that I was going to do whatever it took and I was going to keep going. I was not going to give up. I believed that failure wasn't a setback. It was simply a lesson. As I continued to fail, I continued to learn those lessons. I continued to move forward and I showed up every single day for myself because I knew that I was going to do it. And then there was nothing and no one that was going to hold me back. I was going to be the one that would hold me back. And therefore, all I had to do was work on this internal game here. Because with everything, there's an input that equals an output. There's a formula for literally everything you want to do. Especially if you've seen somebody do it before, there is a formula. So you can follow that formula and they will tell you, do X, do Y, do Z, get outcome. And so it's not the formula that messes us up. It's not the formula that prevents us from being successful. It's what's going on inside of here. Because at some point we're like, well, I tried A plus B, but I didn't get C. It's like, well, no, because sometimes you got to do A plus B and A plus B and A plus B and A plus B until you get tired and then you finally get C. But if you give up that first time, no, you're not going to get it. And so that's the point that you have to realize and recognize is that you are on a journey. Have fun along the way. You're going to get to your ultimate goal, whatever that ultimate goal is, until you decide to change it. You're going to get to that ultimate goal. But if you lose faith along the way, it's going to take you so much longer to get there. Because that faith in yourself and that stubborn belief in yourself is what's going to allow you to continue moving forward and to achieve all the things that you want to achieve. And everyone has different beliefs that are going to prevent them from reaching what they want to reach, and that's going to hold their success hostage. And the way that you determine what those beliefs are is you start writing out what your goals are, and you start paying attention to those beliefs that are coming up for you. Okay. All right, come into the comments. That's what I got to share for today. Colette says, you're dropping absolute jewels. I need to watch the replay a couple times. 100%. I hope that you come back to it. Okay, good. Vanessa says, I'm so glad I came across this. I get to choose. Oh, no. Kukwa. Hello. Thank God I came across this. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Now says, I wasn't moving as much as I wanted to in my business. I realized it was mindset. For me, it was shifting what has the power in your life, you or money, 100%. Awesome. Glad to see you in. Hello, Mohammed. Glad to have you. Step 1 is reframing the vision of it. Absolutely. Thank you for joining from California. My mystical. I think I'm saying that right. Taking action immediately is the key, 100%, because faith without action is dead. Very true. If you don't try, you won't fly. I like it. You have to believe it will work for you and that you can do it. My fear has always had the steering wheel, had to put it in the backseat. Kick it out the car. Kick it out of the car. I like to imagine it. So kind of like the visual of fear is it's like this, it's like a baby. And when it first comes to you, it's going to wah, wah, wah. It's kind of loud, kind of like babies are loud sometimes when they're hungry. If you feed the fear, it will grow up. If you leave it in the car, whatever, it's going to continue to grow up. And you can keep stepping around it. But at some point, you got to kick it to the curb. You got to get it out of there. You have to install new beliefs. And sometimes that takes time, takes repetition. And the reason that I know that to be true is because the way that we learn and the way that we create knowledge in our brain is by creating grooves in our brain. And so there has to be a new pathway. And sometimes that new pathway, you have to kind of make that groove over and over and over again until it gets deeper, until it's just a firmly ingrained belief. Like you can have two people who are presented with the same situation. One person will step over, let's say it's like a line that's drawn in the sand. One person will step over the line because they're like, oh, this is just a line. Like I've seen it before. The sand is on the other side. Like there's not that big of a deal. And the other person won't even cross it because they're like, oh, whatever. Like if I cross this line is like an actual physical barrier. And this it's sort of like a dumb example, but the visual is something that I hope you can take with you and know and understand that a belief is just a thought that you've chosen to keep with you, something that you've chosen for yourself. Like perception is everything. You are creating your life, and therefore what you believe is going to influence your actions. And if you choose different beliefs, you'll take different actions, and therefore you'll get different outcomes. Okay. Awesome. Good. Carissa says, thank you so much. I needed this. Hey, Tacinda. Ernest says, if you dream it, you can achieve it. And the only thing to fear is fear itself. Absolutely. Hey, Kendra. Glad to have you here. All right. Awesome. That is what I have for you today. Feel free to drop any other comments or questions underneath. Good. Hit that eject button. I like that visual too. Just pew, right? Slinging it out through the top. All right. So thank you so much for joining me on today's session. I love to keep the conversation going with you. You can do that by joining my private community. We're at latisha.tv/group. It's the profit creator community. We talk more about money, mindset. I share lots of marketing stuff and also technology tools, things like that. Until next time, remember that your dreams deserve your decision and you deserve to achieve your dreams, but only if you decide to do whatever it takes to get them. So go, dream, decide, do, and I'll see you on the next one. Okay, bye.